Well, joining us live now is Amrit Brar, radio host and activist, joining us from Canada. Amrit ji, namaste. If you can hear me, this is Anand here. My first question to you, there is this whole demand about a Khalistan in Canada. Can you take us through the details of what the demands are?
Namaskar, Sat Shri Akal, good morning or evening, whatever that is in India.
It's morning, yeah, 11 o'clock in the morning.
Good morning. Khalistan movement has been very active in Canada. As you know, Canada has the most Sikh population after Punjab in Canada. There's demands, it has its ups and downs. There's not too many people, but certain people who are demanding that they want Khalistan. Use the word demanding because it's been going on for such a long time. They think it's a right to get it, and they're fighting for it, which is fine.
But 1.7% population in India around and 2% in Canada. This demand for a Khalistan in Canada, does it have any grounds? Does it actually make sense, Amrit ji?
I moved here in 1986. If you talk about the grounds, no, not really. There's only a handful of people who want Khalistan and they're fighting for the cause, and they do try their tactics, and they've been trying it ever since I have noticed them.
My question is also that there are largely two provinces, that is Vancouver and that is British Columbia, and of course Toronto, which is in Ontario. So these are the two large provinces. So that's where largely a lot of these activities are. Now I wanted to understand, will these two provinces actually separate some land and give it to Khalistan? Will there be any demand there? Are they actually...
And the answer is yes and no. Let me correct you. Vancouver is not a province or a state. It is a city. And the city is based in British Columbia.
British Columbia is a province, yes.
Toronto is located in Ontario. Now, British Columbia has some historic value. The first Sikh or first Indians arrived in 1890 out here. And then my family's been here since 1908. They went through all the ups and downs and everything. It used to be one of the most populous province with the Sikh people. Now Ontario is superseding us because there's more opportunities out in Toronto, being close to the Eastern America. Now going back, yes, all this occurred in 1984 when the Indian Army invaded or attacked the Akal Takht, which other general people know it as the Harmandir Sahib, the Golden Temple. Ever since, there are some disgruntled people who really want to make this issue into Khalistan. It's been going on since then, since 1984. There is Khalsa Diwan Society Gurdwara in Vancouver, which was taken over by them. And in 1984, or around that era, you might remember, a ship full of Indian refugees came over to Halifax, which is on the eastern side of Canada, on the Atlantic side, with full of Sikh refugees. Sikh passengers, I would say. Later on, they become refugees in India. Refugees in Canada. And after that, they got citizenship here. They got the permanent residency. Now their descendants, they all are fighting for that cause. And this is where it started from. At that point, this Gurdwara was totally taken over by Khalistani. But if you go into all the other the news articles and see that there was a change around 1990s, people didn't want that to happen here in Vancouver. So they changed the administration and got so-called moderates in there. And then in 1988, there were some issues between the moderates and Khalistani, aka fundamentalists. And it all started off with either you're going to have langar while sitting on the floor or on tables and chairs. And that was a big issue that divided the whole community into two, moderates and fundamentalists. Fundamentalists moved into a warehouse, turned into a gurdwara called Dashmesh Darbar. And they to this date are been fighting for the cause for Khalistan, and they openly do that. They never had these issues that we're having right now. This all happened afterwards when That's a private Gurdwara, as and they have private membership. Then we have a public Gurdwara in Surrey, which is in the suburbs of Vancouver. And that was taken over by the fundamentalists. Things went okay for the first 10 years. Now, all of a sudden, that Gurdwara has turned into a Khalistani Gurdwara. And it is more active in Khalistan activities than the Dashmesh Darbar Gurdwara, which was created, which was formed for the Khalistan purpose. So now the community is confused as to what is going on here. Like what
But
exactly?
Amritpalji, my question is, there is no traction for Khalistan over in India. So are these people now asking for a Khalistan in Canada? Is that where it's coming through? And how realistic is that?
It is realistic. They're not asking for in Canada because they know it cannot ever happen because Canada is a sovereign country. Quebec wants to separate from Canada, and they had a few referendums. They still cannot form a separate country. But what can happen here, Arvind, if you ever remember Rajneeshpuram in Oregon State, which is not too far away from where I am in Vancouver, and they could do something like that, which is possible to create an awareness that this is how we're going to administer, meaning buy some land and turn it into a city, turn it into a town, call it Khalistan. For example, we have Delhi, we have London, Ontario, we have other cities named on with the cities or countries which already exist. And if they want to, we can do that here as well.
So you're saying that's a possibility, but will someone like the NDP or will Justin Trudeau allow something like that? You're saying that they could buy particular land and create a separate province inside Canada and name it Khalistan?
They can. We're running into a housing crisis, and most recently we have our housing minister come up with some kind of incentive to the cities who, if they surpass the 15% target of housing, they will give them some extra funding. So if they set up their own city, or they adopt a city, or they buy a city and set up a city and call it Khalistan, they would have their own bylaws. But then again, they have to go through or follow or abide by the Constitution of Canada. And they can have their own in any province. Then they have the province as in state, what we call in Indian, and then they can have their own bylaws and make up a city, make up a town or a village called Khalistan.
But are they so big and so organized, Amritpalji? Are they so big and so organized, and do they have so much money that they can actually buy out a city and create a separate ecosystem called Khalistan in Canada?
If they join hands, if all the groups, if they join hands, yes, they could. But at this point, they're all separated on this particular cause. For example, today there was a call for a big protest in front of the Indian consulate in Vancouver downtown. And I'm quoting you from Global BC, which is the most prominent news outfit here in Vancouver, and that's stating that only dozens of people showed up. CBC, as in Canadian Broadcasting Corporation of Canada, which is a public funded broadcasting corporation, they are reporting that 75 people showed up. So it looks like there is an infight between the two groups. Will they ever get together? At this point, doesn't look like, because everybody is pulling each other's leg, and everybody want to get out there and show that we are superior than you. So it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
What do the Indo-Canadians and also Canadians at large think about this group, this lot? What are
they are within from us. They are brothers or sisters. They have a different thought than us. So there isn't much ill will, but majority of the Indians who I speak to, they do not like the cause of somebody trying to, divide India. And majority of them, I would say, if you ask me for numbers, I would say more than 80% people don't want to divide India. There's 20% of Indian diaspora who believes in this. And these people, they are born and raised here, the third generation, maybe the second generation, who don't even know much about India, and what have been fed to them, what have been taught, what have been told to them. Based on that, 20% of them, yes, for the cause of making a separate country within India.
You talked about two factions. इनकी आपस में लड़ाइयाँ हो रही हैं. Are they fighting? Was Ripu Daman part of one group and Hardeep Nijjar part of another group? Are these? Is there a lot of infighting here?
This is what the speculations were before our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau stood up in the fall session of the Parliament and announced that India was somehow involved. And he did not give any evidence. Our opposition leader, PR Puliver, is still to this date asking for some evidence that please provide us evidence if you do have any. The province I live in, province of British Columbia, our premier, aka the chief minister of British Columbia, is still asking. He goes, he's telling that the information I got is the information available on Google, and anybody can get. So the infight, there is a verbal infight, and it's been going on since day one.
But
It is all good.
No, but who killed Ripudaman and who killed Hardeep Nijjar? Have the cops made any arrests? Have they made
No arrest.
any FIRs?
No arrest whatsoever. There is arrest in Ripudaman and Singh Malik's case, but nothing ever came out. But in the most recent case,
Hardeep Nijjar and Gunek.
Yeah, Nijjar's case, nobody has been arrested yet.
And then there was
there's some
Gunek also who was killed. Another murder happened.
I'm sorry, which one?
The Sukhdul was also killed.
Dul happened, it's in middle of Vancouver and Toronto. It is about 2,400 kilometers from Vancouver, and it's about 3,000 kilometers from Toronto, city called Winnipeg. And in Winnipeg, this is where I first landed. It is my hometown in Canada. What are the circumstances? What are the, how he got killed? It is not yet clear here in the Canadian media. But the Indian media is reporting that he was a wanted person in Canada. So the question that comes into Indian diaspora, especially Punjabi-speaking Sikh people, is how the hell, pardon my language, how did he get into Canada? If he had that big criminal record, how did he even arrive in Canada? Who gave him the visa? Who was behind it? And yes, he was killed. And yes, there were two people present in that rental suite. There's another family living upstairs, and they were living upstairs. And the person who escaped, the rumor says that he was Arsh Dalla.
Arsh Dalla, okay.
Arsh Dalla. Now, that's what the rumors are, but the police will not confirm it. So it seems like somebody came looking for Arsh Dalla, and he, as in Sukhdul Duneke, happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time.
But how are these people getting into Canada? Hardeep Nijjar, red corner notice since 2015, 2016. Arsh Dalla, wanted terrorist. Sukhdul Duneke, again wanted person. In your case and mine, if we even have a single FIR against us, Canada will reject visa, Canada will reject citizenship. How are these elements getting citizenship and also entry into Canada?
Arvind, that's a big question. That's a question we all want answers from our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. If our intelligence is so great, if our intelligence is so good, why are these wanted elements or criminal elements getting into the country? That is a $1 million question, that how are they getting in here? And then they blame it back again to Indian system, that the authorities out there, officials out in India, can be bribed. Now, is that true or is it not true? Only you can, or people living in India can say that. But it's not the one. There's few other Khalistani supporters whose father, in one particular case, was a Punjab police informant, and he's out here. He's got deportation orders on his name, but somehow he is living and working in Canada, and he's a big supporter of Khalistan. Now, this is where we all, Indo-Canadians are confused, and how is that possible?
The point is, to get into Canada, it's the Canadian authorities. To come back into India, you can question the Indian authorities. But the immigration, the facility, all of that is being done by the Canadians. Why is Justin Trudeau standing up for this Hardeep Nijjar? If you yourself are saying is an unwanted element. And the other thing is, credible allegations and credible reasons say, aage to wo gaye nahi hai. He's not gone beyond that. Amrit Palji, where is the credible evidence? Why is Trudeau batting for this person?
Backing for that, only Trudeau can say. Now, Mr. Trudeau has said that the CSIS, which is the Canadian Secret Intelligence Services, they have given him some credible evidence, allegations that there is something to do with India in this particular murder. But let me take your attention to 2018 report on extremism. At that point, our Minister for Public Safety was Mr. Ralph Goodale,
Yeah.
and he approved a report that came out. And in that report, it was particularly mentioned that there is a Khalistani element which is a threat to Canada. If you want, I can read those quotes in that particular
Please,
one.
please go ahead. Please read it.
A lot of people did, they did oppose that, and then they went into media. There was a lot of opposition. It came to a situation where all those things had to be removed. And finally, Mr. Goodale, Ralph Goodale, decided that I would not run for the next election. This was in 2018. Now, if you ask me, as a ordinary citizen of Canada, who to believe? If I believe in CSIS, I believe in that 2018 report, right? And people believe with what Justin Trudeau is quoting to what CSIS is saying today. Either they both think are true or one of them is false. Now, they
Right.
both can't be true because that's what I've been told. Let me read the quotes which are
Yeah.
in there. Let me classes. This is what this report says. Furthermore, one second. Furthermore, some individuals in Canada continue to support violent means to establish an independent state within India. These violent activities have fallen since their height during the 1982 to 1993 period, when individuals and groups conducted numerous terrorist attacks. The 1985 Air India bombing, which killed 331 people, remains the deadliest terrorist plot ever launched in Canada, while attacks around the world in support of this movement have declined. Support for the extreme ideologies of such groups remain. For example, in Canada, two organizations, Babbar Khalsa International and the International Sikh Youth Federation, have been identified as being associated with terrorism and remain listed terrorist entities under the Criminal Code of Canada. This was in 2019. Now, the public safety minister at that time had to take it off because of
Right.
public outcry. Now, if my prime minister, who was a prime minister in
Then.
2018, believes in today's finding, why does he did not believe in 2018? And this was coming in from the secret services.
Well, serious questions there. Then, is Justin Trudeau openly in cahoots with these Khalistani elements, and is he actively, openly as a head of state, working with elements that want to destabilize India or working towards the balkanization of Bharat is a big question. Amrit Palji, thank you very much for your time and really appreciate you being very candid and speaking upfront here. Thank you very much.